What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Freedom Fire Podcast, where we want to stoke the flames of freedom every single day. My name is Kendall Bowman, and guys, what have I been telling you about living in cities? We got this from the AP News. Chokehold, killed man restrained by New York City subway passengers. And of course, Black Lives Matter is threatening to burn the entire city to the ground over a pretty clear-cut case of self-defense. Now, a man who had been shouting at people aboard a New York City subway train died after fellow riders tackled him and one put him in a chokehold that lasted until his body went limp, according to police officials and video of the encounter. Now, there was also many eyewitnesses stating that this man by the name of Jordan Neely had been pushing people before entering the train and had been acting in a very violent and erratic manner. Now, Jordan Neely, 30, died from compression of the neck, the city's medical examiner determined Wednesday. Neely is recognizable to some New Yorkers as a Michael Jackson impersonator who regularly danced at the Times Square Transit hub. On Monday afternoon, he was yelling and pacing back and forth on an F train in Manhattan. Witnesses and police said when he was restrained by at least 3 people, including a U.S. Marine veteran who pulled one arm tightly around his neck. Video of the altercation posted online by a freelance journalist showed the man lying beneath Neely, holding him in a headlock position for several minutes as Neely tried and failed to break free. A second passenger pinned Neely's arms while a third person held down his shoulder. It was unclear why the group had moved to restrain him. Now, I do have the video right here, but I just want to say it was unclear why the group had moved to restrain him. We just told you. He was being erratic, being violent. And Jordan Neely has a history of over 40 arrests. And they're not just they made homelessness a crime. They arrested him because he was homeless. No. Many of these are violent assaults and things like that. So here is the I'm going to go ahead and mute that because I don't know if it has any cursing or not. So as you can see here, this guy, he's got Jordan Neely in a chokehold here. This man is just standing there, and then this guy's holding down his arms because, as you can see, he's been violent. He was pushing people, according to eyewitnesses, being very erratic, saying that he was ready to die. Now, the problem that we're facing, that we're seeing from this video, from this incident, is that, they are essentially calling this a lynching. Yes, they're calling this a lynching. So a black man can come onto a subway train, be acting erratic, be saying that he was ready to die, can be pushing people and physically assaulting people. But the minute that anybody tries to restrain that man, which that is exactly what happened, they were trying to restrain him. They were not trying to kill him. The minute that they try to restrain this man, and it ends up going wrong, and the man ends up dying, it's called a lynching. Sure. Let's continue to read. Neely, who is black, lost consciousness. What? You see what they do, guys? That has nothing to do with what they were talking about. Neely, who is black, lost consciousness under the struggle. That's just unnecessary. Neely lost consciousness under the struggle. EMTs and police arrived after the train stopped at a station. He was pronounced dead at a Manhattan hospital shortly after. A 24-year-old Marine veteran who appeared to be white was taken into custody and released without charges. His name has not been released publicly. The medical examiner's office classified Neely's death as a homicide and the manner as a chokehold, but noted that any determination about criminal culpability would be left to the legal system. Now, it does not appear that they are going to bring charges against this man. But of course, Black Lives Matter is threatening to burn the entire city down so that they can get charges against a man who was simply trying to restrain someone who was being physically violent towards others and has a long history of over 40 arrests of being violent towards you or being violent towards others. Guys, this is the problem with cities. You are not allowed to defend yourself. You're not allowed to defend yourself. Many of these states have what's it called? They don't have stand your ground laws, meaning this, that if somebody enters your home, you are required to do everything in your power to leave the home. Where are you going to go? No idea. The government doesn't really care. You are just required to leave your home as someone else enters it and ransacks it, steals all of your things, and you are no longer allowed to defend your property, to defend yourself, to defend your family. Nothing. You are not allowed to defend yourself in these cities. And if you try, not only will the government come after you, will the police come after you and try to throw you in prison for doing so. This is one of the reasons why several months ago we saw an incident where a woman was being raped on a subway and the people just stood around and watched, did nothing. In fact, they freaking videoed it. I don't even think anyone called the freaking police. That is what you get when you live in these cities where you're not allowed to defend yourself. You're not allowed to defend others. These people, now, in my opinion, in that situation, I feel like that's a situation where I would be willing to go to jail. Me personally, I would be willing to go to jail to protect that woman. That's just me. But maybe it's different. I live in the state of Texas where you're actually allowed to do that. Guys, these cities are decaying, man. And if it's not the police that come after you, it'll be Black Lives Matter that pressures the police, that pressures the DA to bring charges against you, even though they know that you were in the right, that you had every single right to try to restrain this man because he was being physically violent towards others, according to eyewitnesses, and he was being erratic on a subway. Physical violence toward others means you absolutely have the right to try to restrain that person. Now, the police, according to reports, talked to this man, and they said that he tried to restrain him and had no intentions of trying to kill the man. These things happen. Now, I don't know what kind of charges you could bring against someone like that. I'm not sure. I'm not a legal expert. But at the end of the day, this looks like a clear-cut case of a man trying to defend himself and the people around him against another man who has been physically violent toward others and his history of being physically violent toward others. Guys, these cities are decaying, man. You got to get out of the cities. Move out to the country, buy some chickens, get some guns, learn how to use your guns, defend yourself, because this is insane, man. And it's only going to get worse. We're just getting into the summer. Let's continue to read, guys. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office said it is investigating. As part of our rigorous ongoing investigation, we will review the medical examiner's reports, assess all available video and photo footage, identify and interview as many witnesses as possible, and obtain additional medical records. Read a statement from a spokesperson from the DA. As news of Neely's death spread online, video of the encounter evoked strong reactions from New Yorkers and officials. Some described the act as a lethal overreaction to a person in the throes of mental illness, and others defending the Marine veteran's actions. A group of protesters gathered Wednesday afternoon in the station where Neely died to call for an arrest. Kyle Ishmael, a 38-year-old Harlem resident, said the video of the incident left him feeling disgusted. "I couldn't believe this was happening on my subway in my city that I grew up in," he said. Neely's death comes amid a period of heightened public attention to both homelessness and mental illness on New York City streets and subways, following several high-profile incidents, including a shooting on a subway train that left 10 people wounded last year. Mayor Eric Adams promised to deploy additional police officers and mental health workers throughout the transit system. The freelance journalist who recorded the incident, Juan Alberto Vasquez, told the New York Post that Neely was screaming in an aggressive manner and complaining of hunger and thirst. Neely did not physically attack anyone. That's a lie. There was eyewitnesses stating that he did push people before getting onto the train. Vasquez said, adding that the Marine veteran approached the man after he threw his jacket to the ground. Now, after he threw his jacket to the ground, I don't know if you guys know this or not. If someone is yelling and screaming at me and throws their jacket to the ground, which many people do when they show that they want to fight, that's not something that I'm going to react well to, especially if this person has already been pushing people, which in a subway station is pretty dangerous, seeing as how you can push someone onto the tracks and they can die. So, yeah, I'm not really going to respond well to that. What say you? The video starts with Neely already on the subway car's floor with the man's left arm around Neely's neck, locked into his other arm position against the man's head. A second man holds Neely's outstretched arms while pinning the other hand against his body. Neely is mostly still, but half a minute later tries to struggle out of the headlock. Eventually, he goes limp. Dave Giffen, the executive director at Coalition for the Homeless, blamed city and state officials for an inadequate response to the mental health crisis and questioned why the Marine veteran was not facing criminal charges. Because, dude, you can't just attack people on a freaking subway and get away with it, dude. You can't just attack people on a subway and expect people to just sit there and take it. You can't get in someone's face. You can't get in everybody's face and start yelling and screaming at people and expect people to just sit there and take that mess. They're going to try to restrain you. Now, obviously, we don't want anyone to die, but that mess happens sometimes. What I have a bigger problem with is why it took the police 15 minutes to get there in the middle of New York City. The middle of New York City, it takes the cops 15 minutes to get there. But of course, we all know the reason for that is because of the defund the police movement that has absolutely left these departments completely just gutted. No resources whatsoever. Very few officers to do the job. And of course, you get more crime. That's exactly what we're seeing in New York City all over the place. Heck, there's been dozens of cases where people have been just pushed onto the subway tracks and ran over. And these people are from all races. Where's Black Lives Matter? Where are they at? Nowhere. Nowhere to be found. But they'll scream about this situation where a guy was physically attacking others. From eyewitness reports, he was physically attacking others, and guy tries to restrain him. He ends up dying, of course, but the guy was not trying to kill him in any way. I don't know, guys. All I do know is that you got to get out of cities. You got to get out of cities. This is getting way out of hand. These guys are going to burn the city down, of course. This is bad, man. This is bad. You got to get out of cities. You got to move out to the country. West Virginia is like right there. You know what I'm saying? It might seem far for you, but that, West Virginia is right there. You got plenty of cheap land, plenty of cheap houses, move out there, get you some guns, get you some chickens, grow yourself a little garden, You could probably work from home, work online, Guys, I don't know what you got to do, but do it. You got to do it, man, because these cities are decaying. You look at cities like Philadelphia, not far from New York City. Look at a city like Philadelphia. There's open air drug markets, okay? Look at Chicago. There's massive amounts of shootings and killings every single night. Los Angeles, just rampant looting from stores. You go into a Target and literally everything is in a lockbox case because the stealing has gotten so bad. You look at Portland. Portland. There's rapes, murders. I think I just saw a case where a man. I don't think I'll be able to find it. I literally just saw a case in Portland where a man murdered a child and got away with it. They released the man murdering a child, and they release him. Guys, these cities are decaying. These cities are not safe to be in. Now, there are some cities in the country still that are run by Republicans that are safe. Fort Worth, Texas is still a pretty safe city. There's some minor homelessness, But for the most part, Fort Worth is a pretty safe city. But other than that, I mean, I can't really think of a city that I would ever want to live in, guys. It's bad, man. It's bad. You need to act accordingly. You need to do what is right by your family, do what is right by yourself. Get out of these cities. Give your family a chance to survive, because I'm telling you, this is going to get worse. Summer is just getting started. And we all know that when the summer gets started, that's when the rioting happens, okay? You guys got to act accordingly. We don't know what's going to happen in this case, but we do know that these Black Lives Matter rioters are going to do what they always do, which is burn cities to the ground, and you need to get out. All right, guys, that's going to be the story for today. I will have another episode coming for you guys on Monday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section, share the show with your friends. Follow me on all the socials down in the description, and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we put out new videos. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.